You must have heard from Tate fans who've like reached out to you and said like, this guy ruined my life, and you know, I followed all of this stuff, and everyone stopped talking to me, and
yeah. I have. I've heard from a lot of people who I hear from a lot of men who are in it. Like a lot of them come up to me on the street, and it's kind of creepy because I can tell instantly when they're a Tate fan because of the way they look and the way they act. And they come up to me. They always have like this very intense posture because that's what they're taught, and they speak in very short, terse sentences. Yeah, stare straight in the eye because that's what men do. And they like speak
so
in short
robotic,
sentences.
bro.
Yeah, I'm like, if I was a woman and you came up to me like that, I would be terrified. Like, you know, like this is not how you get friends or anything. But or then the handshake. Oh my god,
it's very salesy, isn't it?
It's very salesy. But then with the handshake, when they like crush your hand, you're just like, no, that's weird. Dude. I'm not sitting here thinking, wow, he's the alpha. I'm sitting here thinking you're weird. But anyway, they're in the middle of it, and they really want to debate it and stuff. But I also, I have had men who have come out the other end. Lots of men, and they all say the same thing. They say it was essentially they got a girlfriend. Like, as basic as it sounds, like once you are in a relationship with a woman and you kind of learn what that's like, and it's kind of impossible, or it's much harder to not see women as equals, as human beings, you know, and you start to have like nice emotions like love and companionship, and then you're like, oh wait, life isn't just like a competition for like the resource of females. They are other human beings, and a relationship is a real thing. And I think a similar thing happens in the workplace, right? Like once you get a job, it tends to kind of level out, right? Because you can't walk around your office like treating all the women as though they're like second-class citizens who should be, you know, at home and shouldn't be in that office. So you necessarily, it evens out as you grow up.
Yeah, she doesn't leave you just because you show some emotion.
No,
like,
no,
you know,
no.
But then again,
in fact, chicks love that.
But there's also kind of, I have met people who've ruined relationships because they were kind of following what, I don't know, like alpha male, something called alpha male dating systems or whatever, told them to do. Not
Pavlovian conditioning.
Maybe that is an actual program, I don't know, but these men who kind of follow these red pill like dictums or whatever, and then screw up their relationship because the woman just like, fuck this, I'm not putting up with this.
But this is what's odd though, isn't it? Because you know what they're teaching is like controlled punishment and reward, right? So it's like it's Pavlovian conditioning. It's what people like. It's like old psychology stuff. It's abusive. It's not about anything that's like for a proper functioning relationship. So you get, I imagine as well, some people, because they've entered an abusive relationship and are seeing the outcomes they want or perceive that I think is like worthwhile, doubling down on it as well. Like as many stories as there are in the good vein of like, okay, you've messed up your life, now you can reassess. There's probably some going on as well where people are seeing these really negative consequences and it's reinforcing them within the Tate mindset, within the manosphere.
Track damaged people though. That's the thing with I'd meet these guys in the pickup scene who stayed in it. So I was like in it really briefly 2006 and then disappeared and then went back for the book, and I'd meet these guys who had still been in it all of this time. And a lot of them were really, really angry and bitter, and there was a whole like complexity to that. But some of it was also because the sample of people they were meeting, they were projecting these behaviors, and they'd attract certain types of people in the same way that, you know, if you just go around flashing money all the time, you'll attract
people who care about money,
only care about that and want that from you. And they sometimes attract like damaged people, and their sample of humanity would be completely skewed, of men and women. They'd go around just this very Machiavellian view of the world, trying to kind of use relationships just like for value, gaining value.
Yeah.
And that would kind of screw up their view of women. Like all women are like this. And it's like, no, it's just the ones you tend to be like drawing in and then having these very toxic relationships.
Exactly. And if you were going to go about like learning manipulative Machiavellian tactics to manipulate women into sex, you are going to, it may work for a short time on, very vulnerable women. Young women who are vulnerable in the sense that we're all kind of a little bit naive when we're younger, and a lot of the women that are targeted by people in these communities are very young, too young to kind of really know what's going on.
They do that by intention, though.
They do that intentionally.
Yeah.
Women who come from poorer countries. I mean, why did the Tates move to Romania? That is the country with the highest proportion of women in poverty in any European country. So if you're flashing around Rolexes and cars, obviously that's going to.
Do you know what that's reminded me of is that we both interviewed Eli, who worked for the Tates.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this guy is like, he's like the archetypal.
So this guy, he was like the head of marketing for Andrew Tate, and he like kind of another guy who left the manosphere because he got a girlfriend and realized that if you just be yourself and like women are human beings, then everything's fine. But the funny thing about him was like he had only like a raw meat diet because he thought that would like help him get women. So he like
I didn't know where this was where you were going, but
he would eat in a day like raw beef mince, not like steaks, like mince, like like raw, and oysters, and he wouldn't drink water. He would only wash it down with like unpasteurized
and he didn't
milk.
brush his teeth.
So the guy stank.
Women love that.
Bro,
Yeah,
he had gingivitis, bro. Did you notice he had gingivitis when you interviewed him?
It was way progressed beyond gingivitis. Okay, this guy, he also didn't brush his teeth because he thought that like, I don't know, brushing your teeth was a conspiracy to make you like gay or whatever. I don't know. But so the guy was drinking raw milk, oysters, and beef milk, beef mince, and not brushing his teeth and following Andrew Tate's cult. And he was like, I don't understand why women don't like me. It's like,
Dude,
brush your fucking teeth.
But that also
the halitosis.
But that's a perfect...
The constipation.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a perfect example of the type of person who can be frauded by this system, like, by all these schemes. Like, they are deeply, deeply impressionable around certain things, and they have no sorts... Appeals to authority are just, like, not considered knowledge. It's like, that's, if anything, a sign that you should, like, subvert it. I mean, the reason I brought him up was because I felt that was somebody who really encapsulated where the kind of pipeline to like these like war room type mega fans come from. That was somebody who hadn't been socialized properly, who didn't have like a comfortable network of support, who really didn't understand, I don't think, himself, and just wanted companionship, like wanted to be seen. And, I felt really bad.
A football team, like you said, like some of these men, it's like they want like their tribe or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the best things I did again in recent years was rejoin a football team, start playing football again. Because I just made a whole bunch of new friends. And it's just, you feel part of some kind of collective again.
100%.
Yeah.
There's an element of credulity to some of those people where they just get sucked into that stuff to a ridiculous degree and treat what someone's saying as just like gospel, everything.
What you said about it being a big reaction to feminism, so I did like feminism's gone too far, I think actually does underscore a lot of why the manosphere's moved in the way it has. Insofar as I think men realize that some of the relative privileges that they had around their behavior, how they could act towards women, have changed in the last 10, 15 years. And there is a sense of pushback to that, because giving up some form of relative privilege, even if you're not able to articulate that and be able to like put your finger on it, but feeling as if the environment has changed, is something that they just don't want to give up.
They only feel that because that's what they've been told by people like Tate. Like, how does a 14-year-old boy know like how easily he could have sexually harassed women in the 80s and like the Mad Men era? Like, they don't know any. They're young, so they don't have anything to compare it to. Like, yes, it is harder now to get away with sexual assault because of the Me Too movement. The idea that like feminism has gone too far, I still haven't seen.
But I think what's going on there is like, and this is a good thing, I want to be really clear, that like young men are getting more education now around problematic behavior as a teenager. But what they're hearing is that their behavior or being a young man is inherently problematized, is inherently difficult or whatever. And so as a result, they're going, you're treating me as if I'm like a prospective criminal. I'm going to go turn to the person who says, you're not that. Actually, you've got loads of shit that's going on in your life that makes you feel anxious. Why don't they care about that? Instead, they're just talking about how bad you're going to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's the main reason necessarily. I think that can be something that's quite effective on social media, where you can point at these, especially in the 2010s, you could point at these, like with Twitter or something, the version of your political opposites that you see is often the worst version. So you have people in the manosphere would say, the feminism they would hold up in front of their kind of acolytes would be, oh, look at these women on Twitter saying kill all men. Yeah, it's like most feminists don't think that. And it's like, even those people saying that don't think, it's just social media kind of rewards the very narcissistic kind of
everything's
type of personality.
But everyone's chasing shadows. All these extremist caricatures that people are taking as presentative of the actual thing. I mean, this is like an obviously
like the left. Like you see people at these manosphere things saying the left just wants to trans all of your kids. Like I've been at these conferences where they say that, and it's like that's obviously absurd. But then they'll pull up some social media of someone satirically saying that or something. I
assume we're all men who identify as feminists. If you were asked a question in an interview, I would say I am a feminist. But, when I say that, I know that there's going to be like some manosphere adjacent person watching this show going, ha, Like, he admitted it. He is a soy boy who doesn't even believe in the plight of his own people, sort of thing.
It does take courage, especially as a young man, to say I am a feminist, because you will get made fun of for that. You will get, but the thing is, feminism just means you think people should be equal, and like what they think feminism means is that women should be in charge of men.
Women are better than men.
So how have we got to that? How have we got to
That's the reactionary zeal that I'm talking about. I think that if you, like, men who are clearly very insecure will position it and talk about it as if it is that, because that means they are giving up some of their power.
It's also easier to, so there is a recalibration men are having to go through in terms of their status relative to women. Especially like men, I say, like, I'm 42, my age and a bit older, a bit younger, where that identity of being like the provider, protector is not what it was. And, that's good. That's a good thing. The women in the home, women are not like helpers and servants anymore. You're expected as a man, rightly so, to do your fair share. Like at home, it shouldn't be like the woman comes home from work and has to start like clock on for another shift in the home. And also there's a lot of this has coincided since 2008 with this big kind of crisis of neoliberalism, for want of a better cliche, where you have like young guys, not necessarily young guys anymore, still living with their parents in their 30s and 40s. Well, that's not conducive to necessarily conducive to a relationship, is it?
Yeah.
You have men who have an education sometimes who aren't in the role they necessarily hoped they would end up in by that point in their life, and then you have these hucksters come along and say, well, that's because of it's because women and minorities are hoarding all of the treasure. That's why your life hasn't turned out as you think it should be. And you see this all the time.
Not women are taking your jobs.
Yeah, women are taking the jobs. You can't get a relationship because women are all just pursuing these like high status guys. And you also see similar conversations with, we need to protect women from like migrants, like Andrew Tate. White men need to protect their women and all this stuff.